Ever since I did that DC EU Films and 10 was Less video a while back, I've been thinking, hey, since I already did a video like this for the initial DC universe, why not do it for the animated works as well? Turns out I put this project off for a while for a reason, because this has gotta be the most daunting task of my YouTube career. I mean, there are no less than 58 of these things on the market. That's over twice as many as those DVD Disney sequels from back in the day. And turns out most of these aren't actually very good, especially compared to some of the live action counterparts. But on the bright side, it did introduce me to some solid, even great films I probably wouldn't have had the courage to see otherwise. Now I understand that there's a lot more animated DC films than one can count, so just to avoid confusion, I'm specifically talking about the DC Universe animated original movies. Say that 10 times fast. So no movies that are pretty much extended episodes of existing shows, none of that Lego stuff, and no movies that are more or less their own thing. So with those caveats out of the way, here is every DC animated movie reviewed in 10 words or less. Why doesn't Lex just marry Superman's clone at this point? Oh hey Aquaman, goodbye Aquaman. Same universe as Nolan my ass. Man, Chia looks way better in 2D than CGI. Ryan Reynolds wishes. Still could take this Mia story more seriously than Armageddon. Wow, James Woods' release really made him defensive. Yep, never lost his touch. Carl Ferguson hasn't been himself since his sex change. Superman's lips in this movie could rival Steve Harvey's. Batman got the knife, but perfected in almost every way. 1 year within 1 hour, I've seen speed ones less hasty. Legion of Doom totally sets themselves up to fail. British? RoboCop as old Batman? Dude, sign me up. And he's fighting Superman? Where's my copy already? Why does Brainiac look like a beefed up Martian Manhunter? This really should have been a two-parter. Why did half of these heroes have to be so irritating? It could have been worse from the title? The now is a lot more human-y than I remember. Aquaman's not such a joke now, huh, DC fans? Batman vs. Court of Owls. And Robin for 5 minutes. Alternate Justice League does too much, yet doesn't do enough. So now you got bad blood. Guess it's the closest to Cyborg being a Teen Titan. Just get the first 25 minutes, you'll thank me later. Okay, who let the shed monster from Dogma here? Don't be surprised if Slate's on Epstein's list. Were Batman and Nightwing always this gullible? Batman, but more orthodox. Road trip! We get it, you like Superman, just kill him already! It's getting out of hand. Now there's 5 of them. Constantine sure was in Los Angeles. More like fail 5 out of 10. So Thomas Elliot is a factor to this, right? Right? Do we really need to see Diana's origin again? In Soviet Russia, Truth and Justice fight for you! Guess it's the closest to Snyderverse Endgame we'll ever get. Remember all those cancelled Disney shows turned movies? Just saying. Wow, Barry's Flashpoint really made everyone look like Archer. 70s martial arts Batman movie has little Batman in it. Barry spends literal decades trying to propose to his girlfriend. I can see why the comic inspired Nolan's Dark Knight, but that movie makes this two-parter further pale in comparison. Let's condense an entire video game into 80 minutes. Badly. I bet this will make the horny weebs happy. I don't want to be Green Lantern. Wait, yes I do. You really should have learned Earwig's lesson on going full CG. Yeah, we get it. 12th level intellect. I always thought Batman needed to be Constantine. Warworld? More like... Warworld? With lackluster animation, boring characters, and an altogether underwhelming conclusion, this 3-part manages to end the Tomorrowverse on a whimper, in spite of a cool send-up to Kevin Conroy. I never knew these beat-for-beat live-action reboots could also be made vice versa. Why does this exist? And that's everything, because I am not waiting until Nightfall comes out later this year. And considering there's so many of these things, that means that instead of my usual top and bottom 3, I can do a top and bottom 5 for once.
What does crap mean?
It's another word for excrement.
Superman, Man of Tomorrow. You know, I wouldn't mind them doing the origin story again when literally everyone knows the origin story if they did anything new with it, which they really don't. Once again, we have to see Clark not fitting in, Lois being a persistent reporter, them first meeting, Lex being a dick, Superman's first appearance getting mixed reactions from people until he proves himself. Not to mention this and the rest of the Tomorrowverse movies are animated in this weird Archer-esque style that makes the action kinda weightless at times. Although Lobo's first appearance almost made me bump this rating to a 4 out of 10. Almost.
How does it feel?
It feels awesome!
Wonder Woman. Yeah, I know, the coincidence of the live-action movie starting at the top 3 of the DCEU video, and now the animated movie starting at the top 5 of this video, go figure. Much like that movie, this movie does a good job establishing Diana's entry into a fascinating yet sinful world as she accepts her destiny to be the hero it so desperately needs. And while the other film has evolved into its World War I setting with the occasional piece of Greek mythology, this one fully commits to its mythological aesthetic, and Diana's chemistry as Steve Trevor is just immaculate. Granted, it can be a bit ham-fisted in its feminism, which is something the other film was way more subtle at, but if this is how the best of the best starts, I ain't complaining.
What does crap mean?
It's another word for excrement.
Legion of Superheroes, a generic title for a generic movie. So remember the movie Sky High, the movie about a superhero high school and the teenagers who have to save it from this supervillain? Well, imagine that, take out all the charm and visual flair, and you got this bull crap. And if I have to hear Brainiac 5 mention 12th level intellect again, somebody's getting a DVD copy of Halle Berry's Catwoman for their homecoming present.
How does it feel?
It feels awesome!
Green Lantern Emerald Knights. So with the origin story already taken care of, and with the then upcoming live action film on the horizon, what to do to coincide with it? Why not explore the other Green Lanterns besides Hal Jordan? We got to see the origin of the Green Lantern Corps as well as go into the backstory fan favorites like Kilowog and Hal's own predecessor, Evan Sur. All these stories are compelling and very well complement each other, though considering this isn't supposed to be a sequel to First Flight, it's kinda confusing this has the same character designs because didn't Sinestro turn into a bad guy in that previous movie?
What does crap mean?
It's another word for excrement.
Justice League War. You would think a movie that showcases the formation of this new Justice League would introduce us to a new likable cast of characters. But these members range from tolerable enough to just insufferable. Especially Wonder Woman and Shazam, I straight up wanted them to get evaporated by an Omega Beam. And when most of the movie is just them standing around trying to stop Darkseid as he floats around causing chaos, it's just not intriguing at the slightest. If you want a good movie about the Justice League vs. Darkseid, then just watch...
How does it feel?
It feels awesome!
Justice League Dark Apocalypse War. This might as well be the Deathly Hallows of the initial DC animated universe, where shit really goes down and all the loose ends are tied together in a nice bow. We get to see the League, Teen Titans, Suicide Squad, and John Constantine's team come together to save the world on Darkseid from truly accepting his plan to take over the world. Various story beats set across multiple movies come back in meaningful ways. It's violent and brutal as hell, and there are legit consequences and sacrifices to be made for the good of the universe. If you want to see what the Snyderverse Justice League 2 and 3 would have been like, then look no further.
What does crap mean?
It's another word for excrement.
Deathstroke Knights and Dragons. So apparently this is supposed to be an online miniseries until they decided at the last minute to patch it all up into one movie, because that looks so well with Disney, right? As a result, the animation hands down looks like the cheapest of all the movies on this list, and not even all the gore in the world can salvage it. Especially when it's your generic, oh, I'm having a hard time with my family because I'm a violent mercenary, but uh-oh, I have to save them from an even more evil person and hopefully make amends with them. Like, don't you all know where it's gonna go?
How does it feel?
It feels awesome!
Batman: The Dark Knight Returns. I can see why Zack Snyder was highly inspired by the original comic because this presents a darker and more violent Batman harmed by years of crime fighting as he's forced out of retirement to liquidate the rising crime of Gotham once and for all. The movie accurately replicates Frank Miller's grimy world with both his characters and the world they live in. Plus it has POL as El Batman, fight mutant gangs, the Joker, and Superman. If that alone doesn't sway you to get a copy already, I don't know what will.
What does crap mean?
It's another word for excrement.
Let's talk about the 2019 Lion King, shall we? While I personally have a bit of a soft spot for it, more as an experiment on photorealistic CGI than anything, I'm fully aware people don't like it very much, saying it's nothing more than a quick cash grab, a shot-for-shot, beat-for-beat adaptation that doesn't add anything to the original. If anything, it takes away what made it special. Now, I don't agree with that sentiment and would argue it has some artistic merit not found in the original, but that's another story on itself. No, those criticisms I would argue apply to a certain two-parter just made just for the hell of it. And that two-parter would be Watchmen. This is legitimately a pointless movie. Why claim to be a faithful adaptation of Alan Moore's acclaimed graphic novel when we already have a perfect live-action adaptation that mostly stays true to the original story? Sure, it looks stylistically different from the Snyder film, a little, and sure, you cut the giant squid in the climax which was previously omitted, but that's not nearly enough to justify its existence, especially if we're gonna take out the distinct Zack Snyder direction in favor of this janky CGI animation that makes the characters look like the unfinished models they are. And because he aims to be faithful to the novel, nothing about the story flow, scenes, dialogue, or even certain shots feel any more special than they were in the original film. If anything, they feel even less special. So my question is, if you're not going to make it better or even distinct, why remake it at all?
How does it feel?
It feels awesome!
Batman Under the Red Hood. There's a new vigilante taking names in Gotham, and Batman might suspect he may have some kind of connection to him. This is a movie that has everything you want from a Batman movie. A great cast, solid animation, thrilling action, and a story that combines intrigue and tragedy, while also diving deep into the characters of Batman and the titular Red Hood. And not only does it get better over time, but it might also trump a lot of the live-action Batman movies as well. And hey, who knew that Bender from Futurama would turn out to be one of the best Jokers out there?